I was looking at the labor market numbers this morning. It is February 2nd, 2026, by the way.
Mm.
And there's a $10 trillion figure staring back at me.
Wow.
That is the valuation of the AI labor market. It feels massive. Kind of like the entire world's been rewritten by code.
It definitely feels that way.
Right.
But then you look at the hard truth buried in those reports from IBM and MIT, and that truth is just staggering. Up to 95% of AI implementations right now show zero measurable return on investment.
Zero.
Zero.
That is a massive disconnect. You've got $10 trillion of hype on one side, and on the other, business is just burning cash with nothing to show for it. So why? Why is there such a gap?
Well, the answer is actually pretty counterintuitive. It turns out the secret isn't being exciting or revolutionary. It's about being boring.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm really glad you're here with us. Today, we are stripping away the hype. We are not talking about how to build the next ChatGPT or, the next sentient robot. We are looking at the current landscape of 2026 to understand why most AI businesses crash and burn and how to build one that actually works. We are digging into a guide titled The Profitable Pivot. And the core argument here is just fascinating.
It really is. We're going to unpack some concepts that might honestly change how you see your own work. We'll talk about the wrapper trap, why treating AI like a smart intern is the only way to survive, and why doing manual, unsexy service work is actually the shortcut to building a massive software company.
I love that. Okay, let's start with that 95% failure rate. That is a terrifying number if you're a founder or an investor. What is going wrong?
It usually starts with what we call the wrapper trap. Even now, in 2026, you see founders who think an AI business is just, slapping a user interface, a UI, on top of OpenAI or Anthropic's models.
Okay.
They create a nice-looking website that basically just passes text back and forth to a big brain in the cloud.
Right. So you have a specialized chatbot, but under the hood, it's just the same engine everyone else has access to.
Precisely. And the problem is that doesn't solve a deep business problem. It's a commodity. Think of it like this. Imagine opening a restaurant that claims to have a secret family recipe.
Okay.
But when you go into the kitchen, you realize they're just microwaving frozen meals from the grocery store.
That's a great analogy. It tastes fine, but anyone can buy the frozen meal. There is no special sauce.
Exactly. There's no moat. And then you have the corporate side of this failure, which is the magic button fallacy.
The magic button. I'm guessing this means companies buying software expecting it to fix their problems instantly.
That's the one. They buy the tool, they install it, and they just wait for the profits to roll in. But they don't change how they work. The MIT study we looked at showed that only 5% of AI pilots actually make it to production.
Only 5%.
And Deloitte found that only a tiny fraction of organizations see real money coming back from these things.
But wait, hold on. You do have winners in this space. I mean, look at Klarna. They cut customer service costs by 40%. Or Intercom, resolving millions of tickets. They're using the same underlying tech as the failures. So what's the difference?
The difference is workflow. Klarna didn't just buy a tool. They fundamentally changed their internal processes to accommodate the tool. The failures happen when you try to jam a probabilistic engine like an AI into a deterministic hole without changing the shape of the work.
That is a really crucial distinction. So if the code isn't the problem, is the issue actually us, the humans?
It's not a software bug. It's a workflow failure.
That makes so much sense. And it brings us to the core of this deep dive, the 3 pillars of a model that actually works. If the standard model is broken, what replaces it?
Well, the first pillar is what we just touched on, integrating into real workflows. You cannot just add AI as another layer on top of your existing stack.
It creates friction.
A ton of friction. You have to redesign the flow.
The source material mentions a McKinsey study claiming that customizing workflows is the #1 success factor. But let's get specific. I mean, customizing workflows sounds like corporate speak. What does that actually look like on the ground?
Let's take a real estate agency. In the old world, a lead comes in, and a human agent has to read it, look up properties, type an email, update a spreadsheet. It's slow.
Right. And boring. And prone to error if you haven't had your coffee yet.
Extremely boring. Now, a successful AI integration, using a tool like N8N, for example, turns that into a digital reflex.
Pause there for a second. For people who might not know, what is NN?
Good catch. N8N is basically a visual workflow builder. Imagine a whiteboard on your computer. You drag and drop little icons for different apps, Gmail, Slack, a database, and you just draw lines between them to connect them.
Okay, so it's the plumbing.
Exactly. It's the digital plumbing.
Yeah.
So back to real estate. The lid is captured. That's the trigger. The system automatically fetches properties matching the budget, say within a 5% variance. If a match is found, it instantly executes 3 actions. Sends the email via Gmail, notifies the agent on Slack, and updates the database.
So it's not just a chatbot answering questions. It's an engine performing actions across different platforms.
It turns a manual chore into an automated reflex. But, and this is huge, that brings us to the second pillar, retraining the workforce.
This is where the mindset shift has to happen.
Yes, we've spent 30 years using deterministic software. If you click Save in Microsoft Word, it saves every single time. It's binary. It works or it doesn't.
Right.
But AI is probabilistic. It might give you a slightly different answer every time you ask.
Which is, I imagine, terrifying for a manager who wants consistency.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why you have to train your team to be what we call rigorous editors. They have to stop trusting the screen blindly. If they don't learn to audit the output, they lose trust the moment the AI hallucinates or just makes up a fact.
I have to admit, I still wrestle with this myself. I call it prompt grift. I'll get a great result 3 times in a row, so I stop checking. And then the 4th time, it's completely off the rails, and I don't touch it until it's too late. It is so easy to get lazy.
We all do it. It's human nature to conserve energy. That's why specific training prompts are so valuable. The source suggests literally giving your team a prompt that says, act as a rigorous editor, identify hallucinations, incorrect facts, or tone mismatches. Explain why the AI might have made that mistake.
You're training the human to grade the machine.
Exactly.
That leads right into the third pillar, but I have to ask, if the human is the grader, aren't we just trading one job for another? I thought the point was to do less work.
That's the common trap. Pillar 3 is owning operations. Think of the smart intern analogy. AI is like a brilliant intern from a top university. They're fast, they're well-read, but they're inexperienced. If you don't watch them, they will make very strange, confident mistakes.
So the human role shifts from doer to babysitter.
Or operator. The operator's job is updating prompts when the business logic changes and handling the edge cases, those weird, rare situations the AI hasn't seen before.
Right.
If you don't have an operator, your system is like a Ferrari with a brick on the gas pedal and no one at the steering wheel.
That is a vivid image. It raises a tough question, though. Does this mean the dream of set it and forget it is dead?
For now, yes. You can't autopilot a car with no driver.
That is a hard pill to swallow for people who wanted that easy passive income. But it seems like this necessity for human involvement is actually creating whole new business models.
It is. This is where we see the rise of service-led AI. And this is probably the most important shift happening in 2026.
We usually think of business as so binary. You're either a SaaS company, software as a service, or you're an agency selling hours. But you're saying that line is blurring.
Completely blurring. In fact, the most successful companies are erasing that line. Even the biggest startups, the ones coming out of Y Combinator, are hiring roles like forward deployed engineers.
Forward deployed. That sounds like military terminology.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's really just fancy talk for engineers who go into the client's office and fix their data manually. Look at a company like Harvey AI. They're massive in the legal space. Now, lawyers are notoriously resistant to new tech.
Right. They don't like changing how they work.
And they bill by the hour. Efficiency isn't always their top goal.
Sure.
Exactly. So Harvey AI didn't just hand over a login and say, here's your chatbot, good luck. They handhold the deployment. They send people in to ensure the model actually works for that specific firm's messy data.
They're doing service work to make the software stick.
Because if they don't, the client churns. The software just sits there, unused.
And then it's worthless.
Spot on. We're seeing the emergence of the full-stack automation partner. It's not just building a bot. It's a 4-step cycle. Audit the process, build the automation, train the staff, and then support it on a retainer.
That support piece is key. That's recurring revenue.
And it's sticky. You aren't just a contractor. You become the AI officer. That is a booming role right now. Someone who sits between the CEO and the developers to translate business needs into technical prompts.
Whoa, imagine scaling that. You aren't just selling a login. You are selling a whole new way for a company to exist.
You are. And that creates a dependency that pure software can't match.
But wait a minute, why are investors suddenly loving services again? We spent a decade hearing services don't scale, revenue per employee is too low, tech multiples are better. Why the U-turn?
Because in an AI world, services ensure the software actually gets used. Services protect the revenue.
Ah,
Without that service layer, the churn rate is just too high.
that makes perfect sense. It's a moat. But there's another angle here that I found really compelling. The idea that starting with services is actually the fastest way to build a product.
This is the X-ray vision concept.
Break that down for us, because usually people think you build the product, then you sell it.
Okay, so everyone wants the passive income dream, right? Build the software once, sell it 1,000,000 times while you sleep. But if you start there, you're usually guessing at what people need.
You're building in a vacuum.
Exactly. You build as a solution in search of a problem.
Hmm.
But if you start as a service provider, let's say you're manually managing SEO for 10 different clients, you get X-ray vision into the market.
Okay.
You see that client A, client B, and client C all struggle with the exact same workflow step. Maybe it's categorizing keywords or formatting headers. That repetition, that is the signal.
That is the blueprint.
Yes, you aren't writing code based on a hunch anymore. You're writing code based on the pain you felt doing it manually.
Yeah.
Even Andreessen Horowitz A16Z, their reports confirm this. The long-term AI winners often start with a heavy service layer.
So we should essentially embrace the manual grind.
Yes. The grind is what generates the blueprint for the software.
I love that. It really validates the hard work. Okay, let's get practical. We have listeners who are employees, listeners who are founders, and listeners running agencies. Let's give them a roadmap. Start with the employee, the intrapreneur.
If you have a job right now, do not quit yet. Use your job as a laboratory.
A laboratory. I like that.
Look at your own day. Find the tasks that drain you, the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Use tools like Zapier or NA2 to automate just your own desk. Once you save 5 or 10 hours a week, you have a prototype. You go to your boss and say, look, I made myself faster and more accurate.
You prove the value first.
Exactly. And then you get paid to learn. You're upgrading your skills on the company dime.
Okay, what about the new founder? The person starting from scratch today?
The biggest warning here is, do not be the AI guy for everyone.
The generalist trap. I can automate anything for anyone.
It's deadly. You need to niche down hard. Be the AI automation expert for dental clinics or inventory specialist for local warehouses.
How do you even find that niche if you don't already have one?
Use AI to find it. You can literally ask ChatGPT. List 10 industries with high average customer value and heavy manual admin tasks. It'll give you things like legal intake or tax document labeling.
So the strategy is find a boring problem like missed patient calls, build a specific solution like a voice agent to book appointments, and then charge a setup fee plus a retainer.
Precisely. You solve an expensive, boring problem.
And finally, for the existing agency owners, the marketing firms, the design studios.
For them, it is all about silent margin expansion.
That sounds profitable.
It is. You use AI internally to do the work 10 times faster, but, and here's the secret, you keep your prices the same.
So your delivery cost just drops through the floor.
And your profit margin skyrockets. Plus, because a client already trusts you, you can sell them trust upsells. Sell them an AI training workshop. It's an easy sell because the relationship is already there.
When you look at all these strategies, the employee, the founder, the agency, what do they all have in common?
They all solve unsexy, boring problems instead of chasing hype.
Unsexy, boring, profitable.
That's the trifecta.
Let's recap the big idea here. We started with the failure of the wrapper model. We talked about the need for a smart intern mentality.
Right. And the realization that the winning business model isn't about the newest shiny model from Google or OpenAI. It's about customizing workflows, training humans to audit the machines, and acting as the operator.
The money's in the gap between what AI can do and what businesses actually do.
That's the best way to put it.
Before we go, we always like to leave you with something to do, not just something to think about.
Here's your challenge. Pick one manual process in your daily life today. Just one. Spend 30 minutes mapping it out on paper, step by step. And then just ask yourself, how can I help a human do this faster?
That is where it starts. The year is 2026. There are no true experts yet. Everyone is figuring this out in real time. If you are willing to do the unsexy work, the future belongs to you.
Couldn't have said it better.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.